This day in Philly sports history is proud to be a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network, where passionate fans make powerful content. Check out theclashingconferences.com and join the squad today.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for August 27th, 2026. I'm your host, Joe Montgomery. Welcome to a Thursday edition of the podcast. Still working out the microphone and the sound settings. Hopefully this sounds a little bit better. I felt like I was good yesterday, but there were some clips that just sounded a little off. So we'll see. It's a work in progress. Start off with a sad note, not Philly sports related at all, but just more of a personal thing. Dolly Parton passed away, and totally reminds me of growing up with my grandmother. There was always country music on. Dolly was one of her favorites. Patsy Cline, a lot of that old school country. Probably why I'm not a big fan of country today, because it was just on all the time. But sad indeed. I probably only know officially 4 Dolly Parton songs, but still sad indeed. But what's not sad is the Phillies were able to salvage a game out in Seattle. Looked pretty good doing it as well. Bryce Harper with a 2-run shot. He remains on a torrid August pace. Hopefully kind of keeps that up into September. Kyle Schwarber, first player in the majors to hit 40 home runs. And not sure if anybody saw this stat, but he is on a historic pace of only Babe Ruth is ahead of him for the most home runs in the first 5 years, I think it is, with a team. Certainly within striking distance that he could overtake that tonight. So this year, not tonight. They're off tonight. So we'll see. That'd be pretty cool to have your name in the record books right next to Babe Ruth and even passing Babe Ruth's record. Jesus Luzardo was outstanding. He was the stopper, 9 strikeouts. And it's funny, I was listening to the post-game interview after dropping off Ella at soccer, and he was like, I didn't have my best stuff. He struggled through that. And to pitch that well while you're quote-unquote struggling, not bad at all. But a much needed day off tonight. They can recoup and get ready. More West Coast baseball, unfortunately, as they go to Anaheim to take on the Angels. I think it's like 9 tomorrow night, 10 on Saturday night, and then Sunday's a 4 p.m. game. But I hate West Coast baseball. All right, Eagles camp is over. Going to start making the final roster cuts and roster moves. There is one more preseason game on Friday night. They take on the Bengals at home. Not even sure what we're going to see. According to Nick Sirianni, the backup quarterback spot is still up for grabs. I really can't see it being Dalton, though. But we'll see. I guess there are some minor position battles, backup, special teams, and things like that are still up for grabs. But it wasn't, like I said, the guys that we want that were battling for positions, like in the secondary between Epps and Michael Carter, we're not going to see. So I guess we'll find out. But the focus then moves to Washington and real football games. Kyle and I will be dropping a new Brotherly Birds breakdown tonight, so stay tuned for that. We'll recap the Patriots game, get you ready for the last preseason game, and talk all things Eagles. A couple things in the news for both the Eagles and NFL-wise. Obviously, congratulations to Jeffrey Lurie, who is being inducted into the Eagles Hall of Fame. Kyle and I, I'm sure we'll talk about this, but just a very intriguing owner, probably the best owner in sports. And honestly, we all laughed at him when he said the Eagles are going to be the gold standard or were the gold standard. And I mean, look at him now. I've talked about this before. I think they're the gold standards. The other big news was no more Pro Bowl. And I don't think anybody's going to miss this. And if you are younger than me, you probably don't remember the Pro Bowl as it was when I grew up. It used to be the week between the NFC or the conference championship games and the Super Bowl, played out in Hawaii. Uh, really, everybody wanted to play in it. People took it serious. It was a full contact game. I mean, it wasn't smash mouth as you would think it would be for a regular season game, but I still think the players took it serious. And then it kind of morphed from there. I think once you'd made it at the end of the season before the Super Bowl, I think a lot of people, or after the Super Bowl, a lot of people kind of just lost interest in it. Then it turned into flag football and whatever. I mean, in the iteration it was recently, not going to miss it at all. But I do miss they all wore the red or the blue. Like NFC wore blue, AFC wore red. And I do also think it was a little bit different back then because you didn't have as much access to. There was no red zone. There's fantasy football. I didn't even start playing fantasy football until college. So it was one of the few times you could actually see maybe your like Reggie White go up against an offensive tackle from the Chiefs. Like it was fun, but they will still give the honors. You'll still be named a quote unquote Pro Bowler. They're not going to name alternates or anything like that. And it's the end of an era. I mean, we've been talking over the past month or so. We've talked about the college all-star where the NFL champion from the year before took on a team of college all-stars. So it was just a different way. And I think part of that is the money. Part of it is and I'm not knocking any of this. I'm just saying this is what I think the reason is. And then, of course, just player safety. I mean, more development in medical science. So we know things, and it's all trying to keep everybody on their off-season routines and things like that. But the Pro Bowl is gone. All right. So yesterday's question of the day, we did for What If Wednesday. Would the Eagles have won the Super Bowl without Nick Sirianni? It was pretty split. And I think you broke it down. If I broke it down, it probably would be the people that said no are pro Nick Sirianni, and the people that said yes are anti Nick Sirianni. But I mean, it's a fair question to ask because after Doug Peterson left, they built the team to almost suit Nick's needs and Jalen's needs. Do they build it the same way with Dougie P? So thank you to everybody who was part of that discussion yesterday. And today's question of the day, now that training camp is over, what is the biggest question surrounding this team right now? 267-495-8531. That is the Back to the Future voice and text line. Get that. Anything else Philly sports related off your chest. But I mean, obviously the offense is up there. The offensive line, the defensive, the back end of the secondary, all of that is fair. Backup quarterback. So what is the biggest question you think about this Eagles team coming out of training camp? Hit me up and let me know your thoughts. Kyle and I will be sure to talk about a lot of that tonight as well. So stay tuned for the Brotherly Birds breakdown later this evening. Yesterday's trivia question. Lots of guesses. Nobody came even close. Lots of great guesses, I will say, too. Jason Worth, Ryan Howard, had Dale Murphy, but there's one guy that guesses Dale Murphy for everything, except for the one time that the answer was Dale Murphy. But the answer to yesterday's trivia question, the Phillies season leader in Grand Slams, Vince DiMaggio, had 4 Grand Slams in 1945, had a short stint with the Phils in the mid-40s, and just another example of a Philly team having the wrong brother. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Philly Jimbo, as well. Best way to stay in the loop. Big things happening with the Philly Hall. Stay tuned for that. Should have more information about some things tomorrow. But we're in full court press mode for the induction ceremony on November 5th down at Live Casino. So we got a lot of things building up to that for the Philly Hall. So stay tuned for that. Like I said, the best way to do it is subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I've noticed some of you have started to subscribe, whether you're on Apple or Spotify. Awesome. Thank you. Everybody, just do that because it helps with the algorithm and getting everything into the flow. And then a couple corrections from yesterday. We talked about the Phillies coming back on the Mets. The Mets did not tag Brett Myers in that game. It was, in fact, Jamie Moyer. Brett Myers, ironically enough, did pinch hit in that game because it went 13 innings and Charlie Manuel ran out of players. But it was Jamie Moyer who got tagged early, not Brett Myers. And then Chris Coase, 4 hits off the bench. Only the first one counts as a pinch hit. Some of you may have known that. I looked it up. But once you do that, you're officially in the game. So only the first at bat. So Chris Coase did not have 4 pinch hits in that game, just the one. All right, it is Thursday. Time for some Throwback Thursday, brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. They got you covered for all your Philly sports apparel needs. They got you covered for all the teams, all things Philly-centric. And just go and scroll through the site. These guys are pumping out quality shirts, I might add, too. It's not like they're throwing out, oh, let's just get something out. Shirts have been amazing. They've been on fire since Jaylen Brown got here, essentially. So go check them out and use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. But scroll through the site because some of the shirts that they have previously made kind of get pushed to the bottom of the site. So take some time, look through the collections. You won't be disappointed. All right, so I saw this in the Inquirer, and the Phillies have been red hot since the Field of Dream game. Obviously, the movie Field of Dreams centers around Shoeless Joe Jackson. Well, we all know the story, the Black Sox scandal, 8 Men Out, the movie where they threw the World Series, even though Shoeless Joe had a monster series. I don't know. There's been differing opinions on whether or not he was involved or not. And he eventually will now because of the ruling that's going to allow Pete Rose to be eligible for the Hall of Fame. I would imagine at some point Shoeless Joe does get in the Hall of Fame, and much deserved. But did you know that he got his start in Philly? Connie Mack saw it, and after some of his scouts came back to him, and he thought he was going to be a star, so he went down to South Carolina, signed him to a $900 contract. But he thought, this guy's special. He's going to be a star. But he was a small town kid from South Carolina, kind of scared of the big city. Was on his way up here, jumped off the train, got to North Carolina and sent a telegram to Connie Mack saying, hey, my mom's sick. I can't do this. But Connie wasn't going to give up. He's like, nah, man, this guy is good. So he sent one of his players / scouts, Sox Sable. Yes, these are real names, Sox Sable, to convince him to play. And eventually Shoeless Joe agreed, as long as he could bring his wife with him. Fair enough. He would play 5 games for the Philadelphia Athletics in 1908 when they played at Columbia Park. He started 2009 in the minors, 1909 in the minors, was tearing it up, was brought up for 5 more games with the A's, this time in the brand new Shibe Park. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out. Part of the issue was he couldn't read or write. Connie Mack kind of liked educated players, a lot of guys that had college degrees on his team. But Connie really believed in him, so he worked with him with tutors and things like that. He did make an effort. It was so bad that there was stories that they would make fun of him because he would hold the menu upside down, that he would sign baseballs, and he knew he was spelling out Joe Jackson, but probably did not know what he was writing. Just never really warmed to the city lifestyle. He was just kind of a young country kid. Connie Mack realized it, and much to his dismay, did trade him to Cleveland. And from there, we know the story. He thrived in Cleveland, went to the White Sox, has Hall of Fame numbers, but because of the scandal from the 1919 World Series, has been ineligible and kind of has had this black cloud over his name. But Shoeless Joe Jackson, when and if he does get into the Hall of Fame, you know how they put the teams on the plaque, will have Philadelphia on his Hall of Fame plaque. So I never realized that, but it was a very well written, good story in the Inquirer, and I wanted to talk about it because Shoeless Joe Jackson was always one of those guys when I was a kid, just growing up, hearing the stories and reading about the Black Sox scandal and everything like that. Just it was somehow I missed that he played for the A's, so I figured that was an interesting tidbit. So Shoeless Joe Jackson got his major league start for 10 games in Philly, playing 5 games at Columbia Park, playing 5 games at Shibe Park before being traded to Cleveland. And that is Throwback Thursday, brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order.
Turn heads and bring the hype with a custom hype chain from Lotwin. Perfect for youth sports, fantasy football, or just flexing your pride. Go to Lotwin.com. Use the promo code TCCPOD for 10% off your order. That's Lotwin.com. Promo code TCCPOD for 10% off. Get your custom hype chain and get hype with Lotwin.
All right, August 27th. First, we're going to go back to 1951. And on this day in 1951, the Phillies swept a doubleheader versus the Reds at Shibe Park. Bill Nicholson hit a 2-run homer, and Jocko Thompson pitched a complete game in Game 1. Game 2, Ken Johnson pitched a complete game, but the story was backup catcher Del Wilbur, who went 3 for 3 with 3 solo shots as the Phillies win it 3-0. So they shut out the Reds in back-to-back games of a doubleheader. But Del Wilbur in Game 2, backup catcher, hit 3 solo shots for the Phillies that day. 3 of the 8 home runs he would hit that year. So Del Wilbur, have yourself a day. And then we're going to fast forward to 1980. Pete Rose had 3 hits and 2 RBI. Steve Carlton pitched 8 innings, striking out 8 as the Phillies beat the Dodgers 4-3 at the Vet. For Steve Carlton, it was win number 20 on the year. He became the first player that season to win 20 games. He would go on to lead the league, National League, in wins that year with 24, pitching an astounding 304 innings that year. He became is the last pitcher and probably likely last ever to throw 300 innings in a season. But that happened on this day in 1980. Steve Carlton with win number 20. Pete Rose with a big day at the plate. And that leads us into today's trivia question. For comparison, who currently leads the major leagues in innings pitched with 183.2? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531. Or the Discord channel, which the link is in the description, any of my social media. But who is the current major league leader in innings pitched? From there, we fast forward to 2000, and Bobby Abreu tied the Phillies-Giants game up with a solo shot in the bottom of the 6th, tied the game at 1. It remained tied until the bottom of the 10th when Bobby Abreu steps up again and hits a walk-off homer to win it. But the homer was inside the park. So, yes, a walk-off inside the park homer. First time a Philly had hit a walk-off inside the Parker since Bob Dernier in 1989. Dick Allen also did it in the 60s. But what a way. Bobby Abreu, 2 home runs, 1 out of the park, 1 in the park, as the Phils beat the Giants 2-1 on this day in 2000. And then finally, we go to 2017. Phils beat the Cubs 6-4 at Citizens Bank Park. Nick Williams and a rookie named Rhys Hoskins went deep in that game. For Rhys, it was his 5th straight game with a home run. He was the first Phillies rookie to ever hit a homer in 5 straight games and the 5th player overall to do it, joining Chase Utley, who did it twice, Bobby Abreu, Mike Schmidt, and Dick Allen. Also played himself a good game in the field. He was playing left field that day. Became the first Phillies outfielder since Alex Johnson in 1964 to initiate a triple play, the old 7-4-3. And if you see replays of it, he almost dropped it. He kind of snow coned it. And I think the players on the Cubs thought he dropped it. So it was rolling out, threw it to second. for one, back to first for the other. It was reviewed, and they ruled that he lost the ball on the transfer, so the triple play stayed. But Rhys Hoskins homered in his 5th straight game and then initiated a triple play, the old 7-4-3. Don't see too many of them in Major League Baseball history. But that happened on this day in 2017. Bobby Abreu hits a walk-off inside the park home run on this day in 2000 as the Phillies beat the Giants 2-1. Pete Rose had himself a day at the plate. Steve Carlton gets win number 20 on the year on this day in 1980. Phillies sweep a doubleheader against the Reds at Shibe Park. Del Wilber with 3 solo shots in Game 2 as Phils win that one 3-0. Be sure to let me know your thoughts on the biggest questions surrounding the Eagles as they're coming out of camp. No Phillies game to update tomorrow, but it is Friday, and we know what happens on Friday. We spend Fridays with AI. We're going to continue our look and rewrite of Phillies history, so stay tuned for that as well. We're getting eerily close to the anniversary of Chico Ruiz stealing home, so something tells me the 64 Phillies may be involved sooner or later. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for August 27, 2026. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Thursday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.